This video is dedicated to my grandmother, Melvina Hill, who passed away a week before Thanksgiving last year. She was a big advocate for speech and debate, and I shouldn't necessarily say speech and debate, but like she more for me doing speech and debate, as well as my aunt who did speech and debate too in the past. This is for her. I felt like this year or last year, I guess it's 2026 now, but last year was hard for me in a lot of ways, and I am more excited than ever to be back and to live on the one thing that I knew my grandmother was proud of me for. So let's do this. Okay, I have all my notes here, so let's talk about the NSDA incident. And I'm not going to go through the whole story. I'm just gonna have links on the like show notes or whatever you call it on YouTube or wherever. Um, but I think this is important to talk about because I've realized that my place in the community, I guess, isn't to like I can't do everything by myself. While I would love to, it'd be cool to like kind of throw down the hammer and be like, do this, do that. But I don't know if I would want that much responsibility anyway. But I do think a place for me in this community is to have these conversations for the speech and debate community as a whole, because speech and debate isn't a monolith. There are so many organizations. While the NSDA is the largest, and this is kind of even why I want to talk about this and why I think other people might even expect me to talk about this. Probably expected me to talk about this a long time ago, but actually I picked now because we are approaching the season of like qualifiers and things of that nature, and I think that having this conversation now might be it might be good. So as I said, speech and debate is not a monolith. There's tons of organizations. There are kids who never even they can go their entire career in speech and debate and not even know what NSDA is, even though it's the largest organization. I didn't even know that the NS. I had no like. Well, back in my day, because I'm an old man, I'm like 100, but like it used to be called the NFL. So I didn't even know truly that existed until like my senior year. So it's really interesting because for us Wisconsin kids, if you remember, anybody who's old enough to remember back in my day, I feel like the WFCA, which is one of the speech and debate organizations, or I should say more speech organization, but anyway, it's one of the organizations in Wisconsin. It's a big league, but there's tons of organizations. There's organizations in your state. There's some that are just city specific. There are some that are state, region. There's tons of national organizations from the I don't know, NSDA, NCFL, NOF, TOC, NIETOC, STOA, NCFCA. There's like tons of organizations that have things that are catered to students, participating and succeeding in speech and debate. So I want to have this conversation because there's tons of people who don't even know what happened, and that's why I'm going to have the link so you can watch the news stories and kind of know all of those things. But let's talk about it. There are a couple of specific things that I want to talk about because people have been kind of wondering this and they're questioning. I think the first thing that I want to talk about is security. I'm like trying to like not look at my nose that much, but anyway, I want to talk about security because that's gonna be the biggest thing. There are people who told me like, I don't know if I want to go to nationals this year. Like that's crazy to me. Like I never would have. I mean, I've heard people say that sometimes. Sometimes like nationals can be really far because they do different states and stuff every time. So I can see that, but I've never heard or seen anyone say that they were legitimately afraid to go. And that's a real concern for people. And because of that, let's talk about that. So I think one of the things that I don't know if there was. So hold on. Before I dive into this, I want to let you know the context. I was not there. I did not attend NSDA that year. I wanted to. There's long story. Anyway, I was not there. So I can only go by things that I have heard other people say or things that I've like seen, whether it's on social media or other specific places and stuff like that, Reddit or wherever, right? So looking at that, this gives me the opportunity to say I've heard a lot of people say that there should have been security by the stage. I don't know if there was actually security. I'm just going off of what people told me. In my head, it feels like it wouldn't like it wouldn't make sense to not have security. I don't know because I don't know how big. I feel like if I'm not mistaken, isn't like almost like 10,000 people or something like this is a large tournament and a large thing, and I don't know. Like in my head, anything that's that size or even smaller things, like I'm talking significantly smaller things, still have like some type of security. And I don't. I know that there's probably some butting heads of like should this be like armed security or other things, but like there needs to at least be like a big guy like me saying like, hey, don't go on the stage, or something like that, right? So I think that is a fair concern for a presence, and I'm just gonna go through stuff whether I agree with it or not, so you can have these thoughts in your head to know whether or not you should talk about these things with your team or league or wherever. Some people have some suggestions on things that they could do or that they should have done. And I'll let you be the judge of some of these things that I've seen kind of listed. Some people said metal detectors. Interesting. I mean, I think one year I went to a school that had metal detectors. I mean, it wasn't that great of a. I mean, it was a. The students weren't that well behaved, but also I don't know. Metal detectors feel weird to me. But anyway, somebody said they should have bag checks or should have had bag checks. I know the only thing that pops in my head is I know that some like stadiums, concerts, sport things, they make you have like clear bags. I don't know if that's too much. I'm not sure. Also, I mean, how many people bring bags, especially for like the final performances, right? Like I don't know if I would bring my stuff, like in terms of my bags and things of that nature, but I don't know. But anyway, somebody did say they should have security, whether it's unarmed or armed. I've heard both sides. And people said that there should be like a more controlled audience access. And I don't necessarily 100% know what that means, but like in my head, I'm just assuming like there's not as many like doors to be able to go through, and I feel like places that people can like traverse without it being with it being more visible and noticeable. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is the NSDA's response. As far as I'm concerned, I did not see any additional like stuff besides the one post that they had that just said, just kind of like basically told what happened, and people said things are okay and stuff like that. And people were upset about that, and I'm going to say rightfully so. People were a lot of there were certain things I'm gonna say rightfully so that people were upset about, right? So one, a lot of people didn't personally like that they resumed the finals like I think it was like 2.5 hours later, right? I don't know. I just think that what I don't know. I'm gonna ask you, and like as you're watching this, what would you have done if you were in control of this? Would you have kept it going? Would you have stopped everything and just said everybody, I don't know, go home and just like, I don't know. Some other things, a lot of people were criticizing the tone that the NSDA used. So people said no one was harmed, and I felt I At first, I was going to say when I first originally thought of doing this video that like no one was harmed and maybe that wasn't true. You don't know, but there were literally people that were actually harmed. Do I say literally too much? Okay, I'm not gonna say it anymore. At least I'm gonna try. All right. Anyway, there were actually people who were harmed. People were in the hospital. Coaches that I know were like, yeah, they were legit hurt. Like, I mean, I don't even know like the specifics in my head. Like, I've told people that I've talked to them, like, you got to file for the workman's comp or something, because this is a crazy situation. Like, yeah, nobody should be hurt. Anyway, a lot of people said they should have addressed the injuries and been honest about them. I guess technically, omission might still be a lie. So they definitely should have said, or they should have checked in with people, or maybe like there could have been a survey to fill out or something to like ask people how they felt, and just like check in with people who might have been injured in any way. A lot of people did say that they liked the therapy dogs they had. I don't know if it was for the whole day or not, but as far as I researched, I saw that they did have therapy dogs, but they still didn't like that. They didn't fully take responsibility for these things. And as I mentioned, a big question is, yeah, should the tournament have continued? I'm going back into this topic because I'm thinking in my head how I would have felt and what could be the best response. And I'm not gonna give a let's see. I think my honest opinion, at least right now, is I can say that it's okay to continue to run the tournament. I think that some people might question how long until you continue to run the tournament, and that is a tough part. In my head, I immediately am thinking, if I'm going to continue to run it, I'll wait till the next day. Or at the very least, the building that things happened in, I would shut down things in that building and then try to organize the schedule to resume those things the next day. That's kind of where I'm going with that. I think that you have to consider people, I guess, on like flights and things of that nature and stuff. And I don't know. I don't even know if I got the right answer. I'm just kind of thinking about, I guess, what to do there. Maybe, okay. Y'all can fast forward through this if y'all want, because I don't know. I'm just sitting. Okay. But anyway, the first thing that pops in my head is, okay, let's continue the tournament, but let's not start anything else until the next day. Stop it. Start the next day. And then, depending on if you can't get everything done the next day and like still adhere to the schedule, is there an online thing maybe that could work? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, because that's an interesting one in my head. So, I think a lot of people were upset about the accountability. That's where that hashtag like do better NSDA thing came from. And a lot of people were demanding things. They were like, there should have been way better emergency response protocols. There should have been an actual acknowledgement of like the harm that happened. Some people said they were trampled. Some people were in the hospital because they like broke things. There were people who were, I mean, also let's never forget that mental like hurt is a big deal. I mean, I think people don't take mental health that seriously, and it's really hard to do in speech and debate because it's like a show must go on type of thing. And as someone who like deals with panic disorder and like I it's great. So the first time that I tried to record this episode, I was in the car and all like I mean, I'm used to it by now, but like all I kept doing was like it was just like small panic attacks, like I'm shaking, I'm doing like and it's just like very stressful. Um and I can guarantee you if you had me choose between having the panic disorder that I've had for over a decade versus breaking both of my legs, I would absolutely choose to break both of my legs and just let them heal as they do, as opposed to what I deal with now. Um, so I do want to acknowledge mental harm as well. A lot of people were affected mentally. These were people who might have never had anything even remotely like similar to this in their lives. The like speech and debate has so many students in the activity. There are students who are literally from families where they aren't sure if like they're living paycheck to paycheck. Then there are families who literally are like, yeah, we own every grocery store in the northern states region or something, and those both of those people might have very different experiences, um, and we should acknowledge that. Also, uh, hold on, what was the other thing? Okay, so I I can't remember. I put this note in, but I didn't add to the note. So somebody said something about one of the judge choices. Like there was a criticism of like a judge. I don't know. I have to yeah. If you know, comment and then we'll try to talk more about it. Okay. Okay. Next thing. Josh Gad. Thank you, Josh Gad, for coming to the national tournament. You are a true legend. Um, Literally one of my favorite, like I guess, yeah, celebrities who've done speech and debate. It's so impressive that well, one, you were lucky, and that's so cool that lucky, like you got to compete when you could like double enter at nationals. So that's super cool, and you winning oratory and HI was pretty awesome. And it's really cool that you've come back to say and work with the NSDA in a lot of ways. And one day I hope to interview you and yeah, get to learn more about your speech and debate experience. I feel like we know some things, but we don't know the true in-depth things. So I hope that yeah, I'll get that opportunity. But anyway, I do want to talk about Josh Gad because a lot of people were making the joke and they were like, "Well, Josh Gad's not coming back. We hope you come back." However, I think that okay, the best way to word this. At the end of the day, we are all people and we're equal, and speech and debate is something that we all share in common. I also believe that when you are like certain celebrity status and things of that nature, there are things that you might have to worry about, harms and things of that nature. Like LeBron James doesn't just go walking the streets of wherever just on a random day, like because there are potentially, I don't know, people who want to harm you, people who want to harm the people near you. There are tons of things to consider, and there is a level where you get to a certain amount of, I don't know, either status or money where you have to be cautious and know that there's true safety in the things that you attend. And I think that we've had a lot of years of expecting like to be in a safe space from that. But considering this situation, it is important for us to at least think about, okay, what can we do to, you know, to feel safe all the time. Yeah, that's kind of what I got. And I do, like I said, I hope Josh Gad comes back. And that hasn't like scared him off from like future tournaments or something. Or I hope that it actually made it to where maybe they realize like, oh no, we are responsible for not just the celebrities who come back to help out and judge and do their help and stuff, but to all of the people who participate. Um, And I will say it is super good that no one like died, or I don't know what the level of severely hurt. There might be some people who might say that they were severely hurt, and if you were, I completely understand. So, I just, I basically, I'm just glad nobody died. That's a super important positive. I do think that we have to think about some things in the future. What can we do? How can we change those things? I think, listen, NSDA, I will volunteer and be the guy who does this and just says, like, you can't come on the stage, and make sure that I protect everybody as best as I can. I do not think, at least in my opinion, I do not think you need armed security. But obviously, I don't have the hammer and I can't control those things, so it's what you decide. Some people said that we still need, I don't know if it's an apology. I've heard people say stuff like that, like we need some type of apology, we need some type of assurance that this next nationals won't be the way, or it won't allow the same trauma as the previous one. So I do think that's important, and I hope that the NSDA listens to that. A couple of, do I have any final things that I want to say? I don't know if there's anything I missed. Like, talk to me, and I'll be excited to talk more about those things with you and stuff like that. There was a lot of there were a lot of things that people talked to me about, and I don't want to make this like a 72-hour video. So okay, some other things for certain people who've commented, like in this was, I mean, obviously a while ago, but people who commented in different videos and stuff like that about this situation, it's important that we avoid being racist. I don't know the exact ethnicity, nationality of the person who, committed this offense, but I think I saw at least one comment, and people told me there were others that were like very, very offensive. I listen. Nobody should do not great things, and there are, people do, not great things. However, that never means that you should attack someone about themselves. You should only be criticizing the actions they did. Like if there was a reason I was critiqued, I would be super distraught for people to just be like, I don't know, black, blah blah blah, just all types of like offensive things. Like we got to be more mature than that. And sure, some people who commented those things might have been children, but I also think that as you grow up, you learn maturity, and I think even the youngest of participators in speech and debate know not to be racist. If you're 13, if you're 12, whatever. Let's see. Okay, I think that's it. Honestly, share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, and I'm excited to talk more about these things, and I hope that next year's nationals is significantly better. I don't have anything more to say. I'm trying to really think okay, is there something else additional I can say? And I feel like right now is probably where everybody just clicked off the video, and that's okay because I literally don't know. But I'm just gonna honestly say that's it. Please like and subscribe, follow me. I will look me in my eye. I will be posting videos weekly from now on. There might be a period where it just randomly stops. I don't know, but I can't. But that could be like months and months and years from now. I will be posting weekly videos, and I'm excited to talk to you more and more about everything. I hope you all love speech and debate just as much as I do. Thanks. Peace out.